Welcome back to Objective 3 in Chapter 5 of Unit 8 in our 4A series. In this objective we'll describe the construction and operation of three-phase transformers, and this will be a very short objective. So to start off with them, three-phase transformers have three sets of windings, and of course they have that three sets for each phase. But of course there's going to be three sets of windings on the primary, and there'll be three sets of windings on the secondary. And that can be arranged in different ways depending upon what kind of core the transformer has, i.e. whether it's a core type or a shell type transformer. Now these windings, because they're three-phase, can be connected in either one of our three-phase arrangements. That is, in either the star or the Y connection or delta. And everything's going to be wound onto, once again, a laminated and stripped core to reduce those core losses. Now to start off with, in figure 5 of page 11 in your textbook, we have here a typical arrangement of a core type transformer. And here we can see that there are three sets of windings on both the primary and the secondary side. We have our high voltage coils on one side, and then we have our low voltage coils on the other. So it's safe to assume in this particular arrangement that this would be a step down transformer, going from more turns on the primary to less turns and less voltage on the secondary. And you can see here the arrangement, three separate limbs for each individual phase. Now the way in which those windings are laid down, as I mentioned earlier, depends upon the arrangement of the core and what the application the transformer is being used for. So to check out some of the transformer winding arrangements, let's just check out this short video.
Transformer windings transform electrical power of one voltage to another voltage. In this way, they act as the heart of the transformer. Depending upon the power rating and application of the transformer, different types of windings are employed. One of the most commonly used winding methods is helical type. Helical windings are shaped into a helix and are usually used in low voltage windings. But as the current to be handled becomes larger, the complexity of such windings increases. A large current requires a large cross-sectional area. Thus, eddy current loss also becomes high. For this reason, two or more conductors connected in parallel have to be used to reduce eddy current loss. The modern practice is to use a continuously transposed cable. Crossover windings are employed for high voltage applications. Here, a series of blocks are formed by winding circular conductors in different layers and turns. Disc-type windings are used in transformers with a high power rating. Here, discs are made from spiraling conductors at the same place. Such alternating discs are connected in series using inner and outer crossovers. Sandwich windings use a unique configuration. Here, high voltage and low voltage windings sit in the same magnetic axis, and each high voltage unit lies between two low voltage units. Thus, the leakage flux is greatly reduced. That's all about the transformer of winding types. Thank you.
So that short video there gives you an idea of the way in which transformers are arranged with regards to their windings and for what applications. Now the winding arrangements that are referred to in your textbook are the concentric windings and the pancake windings. Concentric simply means one circle inside of another basically. So in this example there are windings on the inside and there are windings on the outside. Again, these windings are making no direct physical electrical contact because they are insulated from each other. Then on the right hand side, the pancake windings, here windings are literally stacked one on top of the other, like for example in a three-phase arrangement of windings basically. Now this is the basic idea and the easiest way you can look at these winding arrangements. Now, in terms of those arrangements then, for three-phase connections, we need to identify which connections are which and for each phase. So a typical application then for the labeling of this that's going to be occurring in the terminal block or the terminal box of your transformer is to make a distinction between the high voltage and the low voltage sides of the transformer. In this particular example, the letters U, V, and W are used to identify that. So uppercase U, V, and W would be the high voltage side, and in lowercase u, v, and w, that will be the low voltage side. And in that way, the electricians will know what they are connecting and then decide how they wish to actually connect it. Now, the idea of three-phase power, which is what we've touched on previously, and also what we'll be discussing in the next chapter, is that these arrangements of three-phase arrangements sometimes, they use banks of single-phase transformers. Now, how is single-phase transformers related to three-phase? Well, quite simply because you can use one single transformer for each individual phase and separate them all out. Now, would you do this in reality? Very probably not, but this is only purely because the cost of doing it will be a lot more money. However, it will provide a much greater security of supply as they are three separate supplies to single-phase loads from a three-phase system. And again, this will make more sense after we look at the next chapter when we look at how you can supply a single-phase load from a three-phase supply. Now, the idea of security of supplies is that for a single-phase transformer, if it goes down, the other two transformers can still provide power. Now, that percentage turns out to be 58% of its total power capacity. Now, you might think, well, shouldn't it be 66%? Because that would be 2/3 or 2 of the 3. Well, actually, no. The reason why the 58% pops up and not 66% is that in the world of three-phase, this factor keeps jumping around of √3. And we'll see that in the next chapter, and you'll also see it as you move further on. So it's not an identical 2/3 or 33%, if you like, for a single transformer. Don't worry too much about that at the moment. Alright, now because we've seen three-phase connections previously with regards to our alternators, we can use those arrangements within our transformers depending upon what the application of the transformer is. And these arrangements are typically star-star, star-delta, or delta-star. You can also, of course, get delta-delta, but you generally only normally see these on the national grid. That is high voltage switching as it's being distributed around the country from the power stations to the large substations. So here is an arrangement of a star-star transformer. And all that simply means is that the primary windings are arranged in the star connection, as are the secondary windings. And you'll notice again that the star point, which is the center of our three windings, is common to our neutral conductor, which is this one here that's unlabeled, and it's also common to our ground conductor, because that star point would also be staked down to ground, as is the transformer core. Now, star-star transformers are used for distribution transformers because from the star arrangement we can provide three-phase power and single-phase power. Another arrangement is star-delta. In this arrangement, we're going from primary winding star connected to a secondary winding delta connected. And you'll notice there that in the delta connection, there is no neutral conductor. Where would we use this for? Well, this could be used for a motor, for example. Motors are generally connected in delta, so we could supply power to a motor from a higher voltage supply through a star-delta transformer. Any perfectly balanced load, like a motor, only requires delta windings. It doesn't require a neutral. The next arrangement is delta star. These are very popular again for distribution transformers as they come in from overhead power lines, for example, with a delta arrangement, then they go out in a star arrangement. Why do it this way? Well, the overhead power lines don't carry neutrals as it's delta connected for distribution. When we then want to supply single and three-phase loads from a typical distribution switchboard in a plant, for example, then it needs to be star connected, so we have those options. So that's a delta star arrangement for a transformer. Now, the last sort of thing to mention here with regards the national grid, as I mentioned it earlier, is that it depends upon where we are on the grid and what we're generating at. So in this example, we can see on the left-hand side of the image, we have our generator here, which will be our alternator located in the power plant. And this particular one is generating at 4,160 volts. Well, as far as voltage goes for transmission, that's very low. It would not be enough voltage to distribute power over a lengthy period or, for example, over a long distance. So what they do with them is they then send the output of the alternator through a step-up transformer to kick the voltage up very high. Now in this example it's shown as going from 4160 volts up to 69 kilovolts. It can be much higher. It can go up as high as 475 kV depending upon where you are on the grid. Now at this very high voltage, which also means a very low current, which will minimize our I2R losses on our transmission line, it's now transmitted over long distances across the country. We now will take that voltage and now step that voltage down to something that's more usable. So for example, plants, heavy industrial consumers, or even residential consumers. So there will now be step down transformers that are going to step that voltage down to 480 volts as an example in this diagram. Now this arrangement is again why Edison lost the war of currents, because in Edison's model, every mile or so, there had to be a new DC transmission station because transmitting DC is difficult to do over long distances. But with AC, you can have power stations separated by vast distances and just by simply using transformers to step the voltage up and down. To overcome long distances, we need extremely high voltage. But when we step the voltage up, we step the current down. And that's actually beneficial because when we step the current down, we'll minimize I2R losses, therefore making our transmission more efficient. Okay, so that's it for the end of Objective 3. Pretty straightforward arrangement, that one. And also it'll make a lot more sense when we do the next chapter and we discuss three-phase arrangements. So give that a brief read, pretty straightforward to get through. And then when you're ready, come back and see me for Objective 4, where we'll discuss special transformer types and their applications. See you soon. Take care.